to introduce our speaker today, Reverend Stephen Hermann. He's an internationally known speaker, educator. He's an ordained minister, certified medium, and an MSC teacher as well. So we're so glad to have you here today. And he has a book which is called Mediumship Mastery, The Mechanics of Receiving Spirit Communications. And we've used this book before in our own Monday night development class when we were having them. So we welcome you today, Stephen. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really so happy to be here. So thank you very much for having me as a speaker and a guest medium. And it's really pretty amazing because the last time I served your church, do you know when it was? 1992. It was in June. I remember that I drove. And so it's been a long time, 29 years, but I'm really happy to be back here. And right now I'm in California, so I'm literally on the other side of the country, and I could have slept an extra hour, but I'm really happy to be here. And of course, with the spirit world, even though in one sense, it seems as though individuals who are close to us, who kicked the bucket, they've gone into the world of the spirit, are very far away. But really, where's the spirit world? It's literally all around us, isn't it? And of course, we have this technology so we can communicate with this pandemic via Zoom or Skype or different ways and be very removed. We can have people in different time zones, different geographical locations. But with the spirit world, in one sense, it's the same type of thing because they're connected to us. And how do they connect with us? They communicate with us telepathically, don't they? And every single individual has intuitive and psychic abilities. Sometimes people will put mediums up on some type of pedestal, like mediums have some type of special, extraordinary ability, but really every single individual has this ability. And of course, if we study the scripture, the Christian scriptures, we understand the gifts of the Spirit. So the gifts of the Spirit, everybody has different gifts. Everybody has different abilities. And there's all these different phases of mediumship in which the higher personalities in the spirit world can utilize to reach people here. And what's really wonderful about spiritualism, you have a spiritualist church like this, is you can go to classes, you can sit in a circle with a group of like-minded individuals. And what's going to happen? Whenever there's two or more who are gathered in the name of God, we have that potency, we have that presence of divine spirit. And we start to open up to the world of the spirit. So when we have a meeting like this, it doesn't matter whether it's online or in person. What's really important is the enthusiasm that people bring into it. Because if you're really excited, if you're really enthusiastic, the energy is going to be there. And we have to raise our vibration to connect to the spirit world. And they have to lower their rate of vibration. So if you're really into what's taking place, sometimes as a medium, you may go to a church and literally the people in attendance, the congregants, are literally more dead than the people in the spirit world. Is anyone here dead? Hopefully not. We want to be alive because the spirit people, they're excited about being able to communicate with us. So many times, and some of you, I'm sure, who have mediums have had this happen. You might have someone come to you for a session and they have a certain agenda who they want to hear from. I want to hear from my mom. And if she doesn't come through, I'm going to want my money back. And then they have their aunt come through and they hated the lady's guts. But what people sometimes fail to realize is that a lot of times a session with a medium, it's more for the individual in the spirit world because they have the entire agenda set up. They orchestrate, the higher personalities, the spirits, they orchestrate what's taking place. So you might go to a medium and you want to know or hear from certain people or specific things. But when you work with the spirit world, they're going to assist you for your highest growth. They're going to help you for it really is going to enable you to progress on a soul type of level. And we have all these different gifts of the spirit. So, some people are very clairvoyant. They open up and they're able to see spirit people. Other people, maybe clairaudient, they're able to hear the spirit world. It's different for different people. But what's beautiful about spiritualism is it gives us the format, it gives us the structure to be able to develop discipline, to be able to systematically open up harmoniously to the spirit world and understand how the actual mechanics of the communication take place, which is really, really good because it's not just something that you utilize in the context of a spiritualist church or going to a development class. Once you start to open up to the world of the spirit, they will work with you all the time without you even realizing it. Because oftentimes we see someone and they don't even realize they're open. It's not like they're deliberately trying to tune in. Of course, you do have people who go into Walmart and walk up to people randomly, giving them messages. And this isn't something that we do. This is just ridiculous. Although it might be very good on television. Of course, it's also very good to get maced if you want that to happen to you. But with mediumship, they work with people all the time. You know, what comes out of your mouth, what they put in your head, and you're not necessarily even aware of it. Sometimes when I'm doing a class or some type of public lecture, I'll ask people, well, what profession do you think is the number one profession that mediums or many mediums are involved in before they get into mediumship? And people will raise their hands. They'll say like, well, maybe it's teachers, or maybe it's people who are artists. And it's true, you know, people who are artists, obviously, and doing any kind of creativity, you're going to be in touch with your intuition. But so there's all these, maybe it's nurses, but I'll tell you the number one profession, and I know mediums, male and female, all over the world. And I'll tell you the number one profession that many people are before they become mediums is hairstylists. So how many of you cut hair? And I don't need my hair cut yet, but I probably will. But what happens? Someone goes to the barber, they go to the hairstylist, they're sitting in the seat, having their hair cut. Of course, the energy fields of those individuals are blended, aren't they? And usually, if someone is receiving a haircut, oftentimes they're going to be talking all these horrible, tragic things that have taken place in their life. You know, their husband ran off, the UPS driver, God knows what's happened. They're devastated. And that's when the individual who's cutting the hair, who's listening to them sympathetically, that's when the guidance starts to come through from the spirit world. And the next thing that happens is the person starts to hear voices, and they're not psychotic. They don't need to be medicated. They need to go to some type of spiritualist church. They need to read about it. They need to study it. They need to be around other individuals who've experienced the same thing. So I'm sure some of you have had things like this happen, you know, that drew you into spiritualism. And spiritualism is something it's addictive. So, and of course, unlike certain types of substances, they can have harmful side effects on you. Mediumship and spiritualism is only going to enhance you. It's only going to, if you go about it the right way, make you a better person, make you more devoted to God, make you more compassionate from your heart. So we have different gifts of the spirit, but really the underlying essence, what we work with within spiritualism, it's all about love, isn't it? And of course, we talk about healing. Well, what's the component that's necessary for any type of healing? The most important ingredient and component is love. It's opening up our heart. And of course, what motivates all of the individuals in the spirit world for connecting with us? It's love. And they're very, very, very much aware of all of our personal struggles, all of the defects that we have. You know, we have dirt in our mind or our heart, dysfunctional thinking and behavior. They're able to see that. But most importantly, they're able to look past that. And we see someone comes for a session with a medium, they don't necessarily receive what they want. But if the medium is connected the right way, if the medium has the right type of intention, it's really going about it the right way, and is connecting with the higher spirits, that individual who's receiving the session with a medium, they're going to definitely receive what they need and more. And sometimes it's not always apparent. You know, I remember one time I was up in Maine at Temple Hike Spiritualist Camp. And I had this one lady come up to me and she says, you know, last year I was here with a group of my friends. And I guess they went to one of these message circles, you know, the group sessions. And you gave me the worst reading I'd ever had in my life. And then she said, but I want you to know it was also the best reading I ever had. I was there with a group of friends, and you brought through my aunt. And she said all these things I didn't want to hear. But then, I was driving back with my friends, and they said that was all the things that they were telling me as well. So, with what people get, it's what they need to hear. And if we really listen to the world of the spirit, if we approach it with intelligence, with skepticism, we test the spirit. We don't just buy into anything that someone tells us, because God's given us intelligence. Of course, someone can be very gullible of this type of stuff too, but spiritualism teaches us how to work with the gifts of the spirit. So those of you who are new to spiritualism, if you haven't been to this church too much, or you're just starting to go, maybe this is your first service you've ever been to before, I would encourage you, get involved as much as possible. Of course, we have the mediumship, but on a much deeper level, what's really important is the philosophy. And if we go back into the 19th century, right? When did spiritualism start as a movement, right? 1848. So it spread, went to Maria Hayden. She was a table tipping medium. 1852, she went to England with it. Then it went to continental Europe and all over the world. So if you go all over the world, there's spiritualist centers. There's individuals involved in it. But we see, if we go back to the 19th century, it wasn't just about bringing through someone's mom. They started getting into bringing through higher philosophy. The spiritualists were very interested in the higher teachings. They were very, very, very interested in, well, what's it like in the spirit world? The second, the vice president, the very first vice president of the National Spiritualist Association of Churches, which this church is affiliated with, her name was Cora L. V. Richmond. And when she was 11, she was entranced by the spirit world. They started working through her. If we go back in that period, she was born in 1840, and they entranced her, and they started speaking higher philosophies. She had a spirit doctor, a German doctor, who entranced her, right? She would do spirit operations. They would work with her with these medical conditions of people, but they were bringing through higher philosophies. And as she developed, at the age of 12, she gave up any type of formal education, and she toured all over the United States, audiences of thousands, right? She had a whole group of spirits that would work with her. And it wasn't about just proving survival. It was about proving and bringing through right living, bringing through how to actually apply the spirituality into our lives. People have asked these very sophisticated questions. And she had all these different experts, a whole team of authoritative, knowledgeable spirits who would work with her. And as a group, as a spirit band, they would bring through this higher philosophy. She went to England a good 4 or 5 times and demonstrated there, all over the United Kingdom. Very, very, very well known, really at a very high level of mediumship. So spiritualism, it's not just something on some very superficial type of level. So if you're new to spiritualism, try to get involved in it. Open up to the world of the spirit, and work with the meditation, learning to quiet your mind, learning to allow your analytical mind to completely get out of the way. Because when your analytical mind gets out of the way, just like if someone was cutting hair, right? They can put the thoughts into your head. And you may work at the post office, you may work in an office, whatever your profession is, they're going to start to influence you, and they'll work through you to touch and bring healing to the lives of those individuals around you on a physical plane level. So I'm really very happy to be here. I'm so excited. It's such a blessing to be able to serve your church. And I know that this church has a lot of very qualified, very sincere people involved in it. So I would encourage you, please get involved in this. It's not just like one of these reality show mediumship shows where they have people, like I say, walking into the Home Depot and hanging out in the section, and going up to people and accosting them with messages, or giving them rides in their Uber, and giving them people, the passengers, messengers. Spiritualism is on a much deeper higher type of level. So thank you so much, and may God bless each and every one of you.